it has been announced that there is to be a new album of material by Francis Rossi. But this isn't really a solo album in the vein of King of the Doghouse, One Step at a Time, or the collaboration with Hannah Rickard, We Talk Too Much. The Way We Were, Volume 1, is a collection of 17 demos. All songs were written by Francis Rossi and Bob Young, and many of the titles will be familiar to Quo fans as tracks on albums including Heavy Traffic, The Party Ain't Over Yet, and In Search of the Fourth Chord. There are also some demos on there which went on to become tracks on Francis Rossi's solo album One Step at a Time. But this isn't just an opportunity to hear early versions of modern Quo favourites. There are also 5 previously unreleased songs on there, which I'm extremely excited for. In fact, I'm excited for the whole thing because this is an opportunity to hear those early versions of tracks that pretty much have been a mainstay in my life for the last 25 years, and to hear where they came from. And the thing is, I know that with demos, we kind of have this image of demos being like a tape recorder in a room while someone strums an acoustic guitar. Now, some of these have previously leaked online, either on websites or YouTube or whatever. Some of them did, a handful, and some from similar time have also featured on the special edition, deluxe edition of Heavy Traffic very recently. And what they are from Francis' studio, they are recorded in Francis' studio by the seam of it with proper production, and there will be, I would imagine, based on what I've heard from the leakages over the years, drum machines in there, and just workings out, I think, because, you know, these aren't, you could look at the track listing and go, oh, I know those songs, but these aren't going to be the songs as you know them. There's probably going to be little differences in there, lyrical changes, chord changes, maybe even a section or two that was thought of in those early stages, but didn't end up in the final version because Francis would have recorded these and then he would have taken it to the band. And of course, then the collaboration, continues with it. But to hear these songs in their rawest form is incredibly exciting. There is a quote from Francis, which I shall read out here. And he says, "People say you just can't recreate a demo. It's a real moment in time, often with a relaxed feel that comes across in the song. A chord sequence or an idea can really shine. Collected on the album are demo recordings that I really like, or that I now think are better than the recorded versions that people know already, and some alternative takes that really work in this format. Every so often, I would hear these versions and just really feel that they deserved to be heard, and I hope that the fans like them as much as I do." So here is the track listing for The Way We Were, Volume 1. Gotta Get Up and Go, Pennsylvania Blues Tonight, Scary Mary, You'll Come Round, Tongue-Tied, Electric Arena, I Don't Want to Hurt You Anymore, If You Believe, Tallulah's Waiting, Money Don't Matter, Faded Memory, Another Day, Why I'm Walking, Load on My Mind, Strike Like Lightning, Can't Change the World, and finally, Life Has Changed. So that's the track listing, and once again, I'm very excited. Are you? Are you interested to hear early versions of some familiar modern Quo classics and a few new ones? I mean, those ones fascinate me. Scary Mary, like, is that a fast rocker or a sort of slow melodic thing? Maybe something in the vein of Pennsylvania Blues Tonight? Speaking of that track, the thing that interests me sometimes is that when they get into the studio, there's like a certain album aesthetic. Well, did Pennsylvania Blues Tonight have the aesthetic that ended up on In Search of the Fourth Chord? Same with a lot of these things. How does it differ? Some of them might be lighter, some of them heavier. We'll just have to wait and see. The artwork for The Way We Were was designed by Alexander Murch, who's done previous things in the Quo universe. It features the front cover, an image of Francis Rossi taken recently, I would imagine, with a nice sort of blue purpley background, very moody, atmospheric, and then billed interestingly as Francis Rossi of Status Quo. Francis Rossi being in one colour, of Status Quo being another, so that it stands out. Now, he hasn't really been credited in this way before, and I think it will be because this is a retrospective, and the number of tracks on here are associated with Status Quo, and I would imagine some of these tracks would have been written with Quo in mind. So it's a good idea, I think, to credit it in that way. The words Volume 1 indicates that there are probably more demos in Francis Rossi's vault, either before 2001 or after 2010. We'll just have to wait and see on that. But I would imagine, and this is just me kind of going by what I've heard on previous releases, if this doesn't sell, there won't be a Volume 2. I hope that isn't the case. I hope that we get a lot more of this, because I love seeing the kind of behind the scenes and where some of these songs came from and that songwriting process. So that is Francis Rossi of Status Quo, The Way We Were, Volume 1, which is being released by Ear Music on the 2nd of May 2025 on CD, 2LP and digital platforms. Are you excited? Let me know all your thoughts in the comments below.